You were telling us that you had held a very informative, a very serious discussion in the premises of the British Parliament, where you highlighted that the victim of this horrible grooming gangs are not only Christian or British girls, but there are Hindu and Sikh girls who are equally targeted. However, it was ignored by the authorities, if I am not wrong. And today we have this very unfortunate case of the Sikh girl. How would you put this whole episode?
Jai Shri Ram ji, and thank you for taking up this very thorny and difficult subject. It's something that desperately needs to be spoken about. And it's also something which is being given minimum airtime in the British media. So thank you for doing this. Yes, we did have that event. Yes, it was presented with evidence, and yes, it was completely ignored. I recall the late 1990s when we had wars, literally battles on the streets of Southall, of Birmingham, of Leicester, of places where the Indian community had set up its own areas and was very comfortably settled. There were running battles on the streets involving knives, involving swords. It was extremely violent, and it took a lot of effort from the community leaders to quell that violence. And the subject was, even then in the 1990s, the targeting of Hindu and Sikh girls by young Muslim Pakistani origin men. So since the 1990s, we're now almost 40 years later, and nothing has been done. This is not, I don't think, anymore incompetence. I don't think anymore that it is a systemic sort of oversight and a process which needs to be fixed. My study of it has really revealed a number of things, and I'll be happy to share them with you as we progress. But there is a great deal of wisdom to be found in what the Pakistani Muslim young men soldiers did in 1971 in Bangladesh. They used the targeting of vulnerable majority Hindu women with one purpose, and that purpose was repeatedly stated. They said, Yahya Khan, I remember his infamous statement, kill 3 million and the rest would eat out of our hands. But there were many soldiers who said that they were given instructions to target women because they wanted to change the gene pool. Now, it's very difficult for civilized people to think in this way, and it's very difficult for civilized people to understand how the mind of such a demonic personality works. But if you do dig deep, then you find a different agenda at work. Now, I don't call this grooming gangs. I don't call this love jihad. From a historical point of view, the assault on the womb of a target enemy is something that has reverberated through history. And in Bharat, we've been on the receiving end of that for a long time. The correct phrase for this would be Garb jihad. And in fact, I did a report recently where I highlighted that Ashwatthama in the Mahabharata, his intention was to destroy the Vansh, destroy the future of the Pandava lineage completely. And what I think is now being done, there is enough evidence for us to say that this is not an act of some irrational young men acting in a manner which is despicable. This is an act of war. It's a war on the future of the British society, but also the societies here who do not correspond and who present a threat to the ethos of this demonic enemy.